Well, I think because United States is a nation, like Ricardo says, a nation of immigration. Not many people, have is wealthy enough to apply either EB-5 or L1. So, and they do have refugees from different country which is they were suffering trying to come in. So that's very common, and I do believe, America is strong enough and big enough to help them and to accept them. And also, I mean, we're talking about the immigration, not really like the nearby days, but in the past as well. Like Ricardo said, if you're asking American, like 100 American on the street, are you from Germany or Italy or, Russian or British? They're probably going to say yes, because their elder generations or their previous generations are mainly from Europe or, any other place of the world. Like the next one, I like to have Steve to jump in. Because Steve, he probably have something of his own family stories that he like to share. Steve, please.
Howdy, everybody. So I was born and raised here in Southern California, but when you look back into the history of my family, my great-grandparents migrated here from Russia. And so that's why my last name was a little bit weird. They went with Letwinch to try to make it a little bit easier to pronounce versus Ledvinchuk was what it was back then. But my great-grandparents came through Ellis Island. And so, yes, even though all I've known is the American way of life, my roots come from Russia. And from a developer standpoint, we love the immigrants. We love the EB-5 program. In the construction industry in particular, we love the Hispanics. They work very hard, and we're getting to see more and more of the Chinese workforce here. And I am very impressed with their work ethics as well. And so, I think we're happy to have, again, we're a nation of immigrants, and I think everybody can trace their background from somewhere other than the United States, even though we may be citizens now. So I think the immigration system, as Ken and Ricardo both said, needs some work. All in all, I think, that this is a great opportunity to live in the United States. Back to you, Brian.
Thank you, Steve. And what about you, Alex? I know you have a lot of relatives still live in Mexico, and you probably have a lot of things and stories like to share. Please.
Mine is kind of a double-edged sword. I was born here, but my father was an immigrant from Mexico. He came here when he was 16 years old. And I mean, I've basically lived as an American. I think that I feel two different ways because, I have a lot of people that have immigrated here in my family. And I do believe that people should have the opportunity, like they said, if you can make it through the process and show that, you should kind of be here, you got to pay taxes, you have to participate in everything that we do, as a community to be here. I always tell people, if people come here and, they have, crimes and they're in and out of jail and those kind of things, I'm a little bit torn on, should that person really be here? I mean, if you're coming here to be in the system and not do the right thing, then even having, relatives that are immigrants, I feel like maybe you shouldn't be given that opportunity because there's a student somewhere or somebody that actually wants to try in their life that maybe would be better placed in that situation. But at the same time, I kind of ask myself, who am I to say that this person isn't going to change and shouldn't be given that opportunity? Now, the second part is, with the immigration thing that's going on now, I don't want anyone to feel like, they're being held in the situation if they're really unhappy where they are and they want to immigrate here. That's kind of a tough situation to say, you know what, we're going to put you on hold for right now. But at the same time, I do think that we are kind of in a crisis. And if we can't get a hold of you know, kind of what's going on here first, how can we continue to just kind of let the process go? But it's a hard decision to make because there are people that are waiting or that have been waiting for a long time. There are people that deserve to come in and you know, immigrate here, that have gone through all of the process. So I think for myself, sometimes I'm a little torn that, you know, I think that we do have to have, like they said, you know, reform or improvements to the immigration process. But you know, I think that we have to kind of fix it at home first and then implement things. But it's tough too, because then you don't want people to be stuck outside of our borders, you know, with no other option or no other opportunity. The last thing I want to say is I noticed in the conversation that a lot of our comments or immigration thinking is geared a lot towards Mexicans. I think Mexicans have been the ones that have grabbed more of the role in the media, is that we have a lot of illegal immigrants coming in and out. You know, we've been kind of given that role. But I think that when we look at immigration, I mean, it's everything. And, you know, I think that there's a lot of Mexicans, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans, there's a lot of different nationalities that have come in, and we probably don't look at their numbers as much. Like Ricardo said, you know, you wouldn't see how many of the numbers are actually from other places. So I think it's collectively an issue, but for some reason, the stigma is, you know, that it's Mexicans. One thing that I always tell people, and I shared this conversation with somebody the other day, is that, you know, not because I'm Mexican myself, but I tell them Mexico is a beautiful place. You know, we have beautiful beaches. There's a lot of beautiful places. And there's a lot of people that live there, like on the ranches or in rural areas, that actually like living there. But unfortunately, due to the drug cartels, due to the government and a lot of corruption there, a lot of them decide that they want to come this way, or because they can't earn too much there. It's a very poor place to live. So they come out here. A lot of times the husband will come out here and he'll earn and send home to the family there. But I have a friend that was actually from a ranch, and he said, you know, if it were up to me and I could earn what I'm making here, I wouldn't have left Mexico. I would have stayed there. I would have, you know, stayed with my family. I would have lived on my ranch, and I think I would have been happy. So I think too that, you know, we look at it that everyone's, you know, just kind of coming in illegally and certain stigmas, but I think that people should look at, you know, every aspect, that sometimes it's not that they want to come in or, you know, be illegal immigrants. I think that sometimes they're forced due to economic poverty. You know, sometimes it's because they're living in really, really rough conditions that they feel like that's the only option that they have. So I think that those are things to consider as well. You have to kind of look at all the different aspects of, you know, what these people are going through when they try to immigrate here, before putting those kind of stigmas, I think.